Your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
A human rights lawyer and former United Nations Commissioner spoke to crowds in Tasmania today about the conflict in Gaza. It comes of Friends of Palestine supporters gathered together around the state to bolster support for those suffering overseas.
It's a colourful array, calling for the end of a bloody war.
The kites, they're a symbolism of our solidarity with the Palestinian children.
At only 16 years of age, Aisha felt compelled to speak up about the ongoing conflict in Gaza.
Seeing the kids in Palestine, kids like me who go through bombing and torture and starvation, it really, it encouraged me to stand up for those who can't speak, stand up for those who can't be heard.
Recognised for his human rights advocacy, lawyer and former UN Commissioner Chris Sidoti flew into Hobart today to address community organisation Friends of Palestine Tasmania. He says the tide is turning in Gaza.
There has been a status quo for the last 25 years that has ensured the continuation of conflict with occasional escalations during that period. Now, at last, international organisations are saying this simply cannot continue.
It comes after the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to immediately halt its military offensive in southern Gaza city of Rafah. But Tasmanian Palestinian protesters claim the ruling is pointless.
They don't have an enforcement mechanism. There's no military power behind them to make sure that people or countries follow their orders.
The court's orders are binding. They are not advisory. They are binding, and so binding on the State of Israel. But it's up to the Security Council to ensure enforcement.
Supporters and protesters determined not to give in, continuing to cast a light on the lack of freedom Palestinians currently have.
For one reason or another, the Palestinians have been fighting for that and it's been ignored. So, free Palestine.
This 100-year-old war has to be brought to a halt. It needs to be resolved, and that means really pushing both parties, both sides, into a peaceful resolution of the conflict.
Lily Thompson, 7 Tasmania News.
Cold water is already being poured on a third Hobart Stadium proposal. A Melbourne developer is courting state MPs with a plan to take over Elwick Racecourse to build a stadium, community sport precinct and more than 2,000 homes. But the state government says it's committed to the Macquarie Point project and isn't contemplating any alternate proposals. Hundreds will be donning red during the state's largest fun run from the city to casino. The event, now in its 51st year, choosing cystic fibrosis as its charity partner. Competitors hoping to raise $40,000 for the condition.
The city to casino isn't until tomorrow, but these kids are ready to paint the town red.
Tomorrow I'll be doing a 7k walk to raise awareness for cystic fibrosis.
Lottie is one of 115 Tasmanians living with the genetic condition. Her team and Cystic Fibrosis Tasmania hoping to raise $40,000 during tomorrow's fun run.
We supply over $93,000 of services to Tasmanians living with CF and their families every year.
Despite that, the organisation doesn't receive any government funding, forced to fundraise for families like the Strides who are impacted by the condition.
There's lots of treatments that she needs to do, so just take lots of tablets, physiotherapy. We regularly go to Melbourne as well for surgery.
2,500 Tasmanians are set to join them, with promising weather conditions on the cards.
The conditions look great. It's pretty similar to today. There's a real light northerly wind which is behind the runners, which will be great for fast times, so it should be a pretty quick run tomorrow.
The event also lines up with Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month, with 1 out of every 20 Tasmanians potentially carrying the gene without even knowing it, while between 3 and 5 babies are born here with the condition every year. For Lottie and her team of superheroes, they're ready to see the 51st fun run go off in style.
I think it'll be very cold. Yeah, but I think I'll be good.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Bunnings snags were a little bit tastier today, with all funds raised across Tasmania going to the Fight MND group. The effort's part of a national campaign to increase awareness about the impacts of motor neuron disease.
MND is one of the cruelest diseases around. There's currently no treatment or no cure. Over the last 10 years, the Australian community has really come together to help us fight the beast.
It's the 6th year the two companies have paired up for the potentially life-saving cause. A 14-year-old Gagebrook boy has been charged by police for allegedly throwing a rock at a metro bus, causing damage to the windscreen earlier this week. Similar incidents are being investigated following previous reports of youths throwing rocks at buses near Bridgewater and Gagebrook. Metro withdrew bus services in those areas to protect drivers and the wider community. Meanwhile, a 15-year-old's been treated for injuries after an incident in Hobart's Elizabeth Street Mall last night. Emergency services attended the scene just before midnight after an incident allegedly resulted in a laceration to the leg, with a teenager taken to the Royal Hobart Hospital. Police are calling on those who witnessed the incident to come forward with information. It's been a day of upsets in the TSL. North Hobart and Launceston trying but failing to improve their fortunes. Meanwhile, North Launceston's undefeated run continues. 4 goals from Harvey Griffiths helping stave off a Lauderdale fight back.
North Launceston was slow out of the gates.
For goal, Oscar Van Dam, he's kicked it.
But Lauderdale were glacial. The Northern Bombers coming out winners in almost every contest. The visitors looking to be in real trouble, down by 31, until a first major eventually coming from Sam Siggins halfway through the second stanza.
And that's a badly needed one.
With Lauderdale finally starting to mount their comeback in the third, the flow of points against them was also slowing, but only temporarily. North Lonnie running away again in the fourth to keep their undefeated season going.
He loves the snaps and he loves the goals.
Brad Cox-Goodger putting the cherry on top in his 250th game, 74-49. Across town at Windsor Park, beleaguered Launceston the first to strike in a game of cat and mouse with the Tigers. The Blues would keep the reigning premiers on their toes and eventually break free thanks to 5 majors from Dylan Riley. But these Tigers aren't easily caged. Tyler Carter's second and one at the death from Ryan Bradburn in his second game, sealing a 1-point win for Kinborough. Down south, the winless Demons were celebrating early with the sniff of an upset in the air. But by the end of the second, Glenorchy had taken the lead. Blake Waite's third, giving them a comfortable buffer midway through the third, before 2 quick goals from the Demons looked to be a turning point.
Straight through the middle, North Hobart have a sniff.
But there'd be no such luck for North Hobart. 3 goals in 10 minutes from Jake Bowden, slamming the brakes on any comeback.
Icing this game nearly.
Glenorchy victorious, 74-53. Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
The Devils boys have held off a fast-finishing Northern Knights to retain their second-place position on the Development League ladder. A last-minute goal handing them a 65-50 victory.
On the siren, the Tassie Devils hold on to the victory.
The girls having their early league challenged by the Knights, a 40-13 half-time score ending in a 48-31 victory for the Tassie girls, helped by a 3-goal haul from Ava Reid.
Good evening. 15 was the top across Launceston and Devonport today. Burnie 14, 13 in Hobart. 16 was the state's top in King Island. Lowhead and St Helens 15 and 14 in Strawn. Across the state today, low-level cloud was seen about central and western areas as high cloud streams over the south. Further out, high-level cloud can be seen over central Australia and New South Wales, with low-level cloud about Victoria. Tomorrow, a cold front approaches the southwest of Tasmania with light showers about the north during the evening. East to northeasterly winds tomorrow 10 to 20 knots about the north and west, variable winds reaching 10 knots elsewhere, swells up to 2.5 metres in the west and south and below 1 metre in the north. A strong wind warning is current for the southwest coast and central west coast. And a frost warning is current for the central North Midlands and Upper Derwent Valley forecast districts. Tomorrow's forecast now, Hobart and Richmond mostly sunny, 16 in Ouse. In the north, Launceston becoming cloudy, a shower or two about Devonport and Deloraine. Burnie tomorrow, 14, partly cloudy across Strawn and Curry. St Helens and Swansea, sunny and 15 and cloudy in Whitemark. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast now. Monday, morning showers about the west and far south, mostly fine elsewhere. Tuesday, showers developing about the west and far south during the day. And Wednesday, fine apart from morning fog about the north. Capital cities, 24 and partly cloudy in Perth tomorrow. Sunny, mostly sunny in Sydney, and a possible shower in Brisbane. And currently Hobart 8 and mostly cloudy, Launceston 9 and Devonport 10 and partly cloudy. And Lou, for anyone with anxious pets, it is cracker night tonight, and you can find the full list of registered permit locations at the WorkSafe Tasmania website.
Thank you for that, Jackie. Much appreciated. That's all your news for now. Thank you for joining us. We will see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your evening and stay safe. Good night.